What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the video. This video is of a Yellowjacket removal that I did on August 10th in my backyard. To do this removal, I used a Shop Vac, which was filled with soapy water. The Yellowjackets had made a nest underground inside of a planter box that we didn't use this year for our garden. As you can see, I start by just putting the tip of the vacuum at the entrance hole, and I was able to gather up a lot of the scavengers as they were flying back. The next thing that I did was I grabbed a small shovel and just used it to pound on the ground a little bit to agitate them inside and get them to fly out. It took me a minute to kind of figure out where the nest was underground, or where I thought it was, and then eventually I had hundreds of them come pouring out. Now, this nest wasn't super aggressive, so especially in the beginning, I didn't get the numbers that I thought I would right off the bat. Eventually they did pick up though. Based on as hard as I was hitting the planter box, I was starting to assume that the nest was pretty deep. And as we'll see here in a little bit, I was correct later on. Okay, so I sped this up a little bit. Once they really slowed down, I did start to dig, and there was a clear hole as I dug in. Now, when I originally put this planter box in, the first thing that I did before I put topsoil in here was I cut logs that were about 7.5 feet long and probably about 5 to 6 inches around, and filled the bottom of the box to try to lessen the amount of soil that I was going to put in. My fear was that there was a cavity down in those logs, and that's where the nest actually was. And eventually that is what I found out, was that nest was beneath there. Now, with as deep as it seemed to have been, removing the logs for me really wasn't an option. So my goal right now was just to lessen their numbers. From this shot here, you can kind of see the hole that I was following. As I continued to dig, it did seem like I didn't have any more coming out further. So I continued to dig to my left, as you can see, closer to the house. I did that for a while and basically still did not see any more coming out, even though I was following that hole. What I ended up doing was actually grab my garden hose, and I brought that back and just started to basically fill it up with water to see if I could find any other holes or just start to flush them out. And as you can see here, I did that for a while. Now, one thing I will tell you about this video is I did accidentally stop recording at the end. So this video doesn't actually show the removal. I apologize for that. I didn't realize that my camera had turned off. But you can still see a good bit. And eventually I do kind of find them again in this video before the camera shuts off. Now, it might be a little bit hard to see from this angle, but there still is, I would say, a good 50 to 100 scavengers that are flying around. And anytime that I did walk away from the box, you can kind of see them regroup as I stepped away. So right about here is where I started to notice more flying out. And as I leaned forward there, I did discover that the hole that the Yellowjackets were in was actually going to the right, closer towards the camera setup. Now, this is about where I started to get some good waves of Yellowjackets. I didn't get them all on this camera. I was kind of putting this camera up and down as I was working. But I would estimate that this nest probably had somewhere around the 1,000 mark as far as Yellowjackets inside. Like I said earlier, this actually was a much larger colony than I originally had thought. Now, this definitely wasn't the smoothest removal I've ever done. If you look back on my channel, I do have a few other videos. I tend to not record a lot as I'm doing these, but you know, I do several a year, typically just for friends and family. One positive, as I was doing this, I did not get stung through the suit at all. I did have several clinging to my gloves as I was doing this that were definitely trying to get me. Now, as you can see here, I'm still trying to excavate this hole to see if I can get to the nest. From what I can tell from the way the logs are situated, though, I'm pretty doubtful that I actually will be able to. So at this point, I'm going back to turn the water back on once again. I think that hole that they were coming out of might have collapsed a little bit. And pretty much as soon as I put that hose back in, I re-agitated them and I got another good wave that came out. It's a little hard to see right here, but there is just hundreds of them pouring out of this thing. Now, as I said earlier, eventually I did turn the camera off by accident. What I ended up doing to basically get rid of this nest is I got the numbers down as much as I could, and then I let that vacuum run for probably another 40 minutes and got the scavengers that were coming back, or the ones that had flown out. What I ended up doing after that the next morning was just basically built a small fire in that pit and just let it burn for a while. And that seems to have taken them out for now. I'm going to keep checking on it as I go, but I am pretty confident that this nest was eradicated. Thank you for watching the video. Like I said before, I apologize for not having a complete video. If you did like this content, please like and subscribe, and check out some of my earlier videos on removals. Thank you.